Halloween, Buffalo Boys listeners. Welcome to episode 9, week 9. As always, it is Ryan along with my co-host, your friend, my friend, Todd. And on top of that, we got a very special guest in the building, our second sponsor and his first time on the pod this season. It's Farmer Dave. Farmer Dave, Todd, how are you guys doing?
Doing pretty well, Ryan. You know, I just made it up to North Carolina. I'm in town for a work trip. It's a very hectic week for me. This is going to be a quick pod. We're just going to do a couple quick hits and then a couple quick hits at work. And then I'll be back in Miami where it's actually a nice temperature. You know, currently, for some reason, it's in the 30s in Raleigh. I don't know how that happened because yesterday it was 80 or so, if I'm not mistaken. You know, Dave, you can correct me. But I'm excited to be back where there's nice weather and beaches.
Absolutely. You guys definitely look a little bundled up sitting outside of Dave's place. Farmer Dave, how are you doing this season? How's everything? How's the harvest going?
We are past the harvest point at this point, Ryan. I am now, fully stocked in my seed bank, just preparing for next year. I've got some garlic growing right now. Outside of that, just bundling up and enjoying a cigar.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining the pod. Great to see you. And we will get to your ad in just a second. But first, have to talk about our good friends at Mattress Blacks. In honor of his appearance on Buffalo Boys last week, our pal Doug is giving all first-time customers 62% off this week only. No code required. Just shop online, and that discount will be added automatically to the end of your purchase. I got a king-size mattress that's good for your bed. I'm not sure how Doug can afford these discounts. It's like he's running a money laundering scheme or something. But anyway, that is 62% off this week only. And at Mattress Blacks, you can always get a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
And for our second sponsor, as you alluded to, Ryan, we've got Farmer Dave in the house, in the garden, in the pasture. He's out there, tilling the ground as we speak. Farmer Dave, what discounts do you have for us? What do you want to say?
I actually have a great deal for you this winter. Prepare for next spring with a free seed bundle. Just send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Go Fuck Yourself.
Is that a P.O. box, Dave? I don't know how people are going to figure out Go Fuck Yourself. Is that a small town in Vermont, perhaps? Interesting. Okay, well, we will get you listeners more details when those details come. And I almost forgot, boys. Obviously, happy Halloween. I, for the second year in a row, am going as a guy who shops at Dan Flash's. I've got a very complicated shirt on right now. I wish everyone who's listening could see. Are you guys in the Halloween spirit? Are you dressed as anything this year?
Ryan, I am not. I am not very spirited. I don't like costumes. I don't like thinking about costumes, planning for costumes, or being dressed in costumes. I like it very simple, very plain. I'm not sure for Dave. Farmer Dave, do you have a costume? What are you currently wearing?
I was David S. Pumpkins today at work, and it was very distracting on my video calls.
He did have a coat. It was a black blazer with orange pumpkins all over it. He kind of looked like the Pum King, like Southern Tears beer. And he scared a couple kids that came to the door looking for candy.
I'm sure people had a lot of questions for you, Dave. If you know, you know. Anyway, before we get into the pod, before we really get the pod rolling, I know when you guys get together, you're always drinking something good. I see you're smoking some probably top-class cigars. What are you guys sipping on over there?
Thanks, Ryan. I'll start us off with the beer, and I'll kick it over to Farmer Dave for the cigar. Dave has been, he's been a collector of Sexual Chocolate. Foothills, it's their annual release, as you are aware, just letting some of our Arab friends that like to listen to the show know. Sexual Chocolate is a drink. and it's a very good one. This is the bourbon barrel aged version from, I believe it was 2013. Is that right, Dave?
2013.
2013. We're sipping on a 10-year-old bourbon barrel aged stout right now, Ryan. And, the weather is appropriate for it. So that's the only good thing about being in North Carolina right now. And it is very good. And Dave just got a new box of cigars that he graciously shared with me. So we're both having cigars. Dave, what kind of cigars are they?
These are a special release Nirvana cigar. They come around about every 5 years, but they're extra spicy, really warming us up on this, almost first frost of the season.
Excellent. Wow. Okay. 2013 Sexual Chocolate, one of my favorite beers from Foothills. And never have I felt so bad for our Arab viewers who will never get to experience sexual chocolate, let alone alcohol, and let alone fun. Send your complaint letters to ryan@buffaloboys@gmail.com. Thank you. On my end, boys, I saw you were drinking something nice, so I thought I would break out something myself. We've got a 2012 Bourbon County Barrel Stout.
Bruh.
Listen, I had to flex on you. But listen, I'm very jealous that you guys are drinking yours. I'm sure that's lovely. Obviously, you're experiencing some camaraderie together, and I would love to cheers this beer with you guys. So, cheers.
Cheers, Ryan. And we're going to have to actually pause the podcast here because Dave has just out of nowhere ran into the house to get something out of the cellar. He hasn't said what it was. He was very frantic. His chair is on the ground right now. He didn't feel he didn't receive your one up very kindly. So he's getting something great for us. We're going to have something better by the end of this podcast, and we're going to cheers you one more time.
I can't wait to see what it is. If I know anything about Dave, it's that he's very competitive and does not like to lose. So I'm sure he is going to the very back of the cellar. I can't wait to see what he brings out. And with that, Buffalo Boys has begun. Todd, tell me where you want to start off this week. Should we go into quality control coach, clown owner, maybe some trivia first? Tell me what you're thinking.
I think we should continue with our quality control coach of the week this week, Ryan. Our quality control coach is Nixon this week. He continued his streak, his longest streak in the league for wins. He's on fire, Ryan. He would be crushing everyone at beer pong right now. He's getting the rollbacks right now. He's got so many wins in a row. AJ can't even fathom having that many wins in a season at this point. And, he nearly started his optimal lineup. He defeated a playoff-bound squad in Jimmy, I believe. And he posted more than 120 points. So, good work, Nixon.
Yes, he beat Jimmy by 8 points, the 69ers. Congratulations, Nixon. That was a great win. And for every quality control coach, there must be a clown coach or a clown owner of the week. Who's your pick this week, Todd?
Our clown owner this week is none other than your favorite pick to not win anything this season, Rick. You had come last week and you had said all of your apologies. You had laid down the line, and that's all Rick needed. He was good for the season. He might not win again if you have anything to say about it, but if this week says anything about it, it's not looking good because he was definitely a clown this week. And I do want to give an honorable mention to Forrest. Both teams could have won if they started their optimal lineups, and Rick really needed to win this week. So it's quite damning and not looking good for him.
That's right. I hate to call you out on your own podcast, Todd, but I have to just point out that for a guy who might not win another game this season, Rick, he did outscore you in week 8 by almost 40 points. I just wanted to throw it out there. I know there might be some chatter in the group me, so I wanted to get ahead of it. Anything you want to say there, Todd?
It's a great point, Ryan. And it was something that I was going to bring up at the start of our pod. I was just too excited having Farmer Dave here. This was a rough week, Ryan. I went 0-6 in all my fantasy football leagues. That's 3 redraft, 3 dynasty leagues. And I went 1-2 in my fantasy basketball leagues. I barely won at all this week. Packers got trounced. It was a demoralizing week. And after the 1 p.m. game, I just couldn't actually watch football the rest of the week. I was just I don't even know what happened in all the games. Like I was just, honestly, I was struggling. And my emotions Monday night was like, I'm not going to record a pod. I'm too busy this week. And then I realized this isn't about me. This pod is about our amazing listeners. It is about all the faithful patrons of Farmer Dave's, of Mattress Blacks, of our old sponsor, Boards Golf Emporium. It's not about me. And if some people can get some joy in their life and all the hardships that they're facing based off my trivial sadness, if you will, then I'm happy to talk about it. And like you said, it was a rough week for me. I'm hoping for better things. I know my team is good. I am sick of picking the wrong defense, Ryan. I am fed up with it. I've picked the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles on their only negative weeks of the season, both times thinking they would continue to just get me a couple points. That's all I was banking on. I even benched the Chiefs defense, which got 14 points. And, I was right there in terms of the clown owner decision. I had 25 points that I missed out on. I wouldn't have won because, again, my team wasn't feeling very touchdowny this week, and my notifications were very dry during Sunday, which was quite saddening. But high level, I'm recovering. This week is a whole new week. It's a whole new chance for my team to redemonstrate that they are great. And I think they are. We have a lot of good players, and, Montgomery's coming back soon. And sneaky pickup of the season, Kyler Murray, is on my squad and will be starting soon. And I think he's going to turn the season around for me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty, Todd. Good luck there. Farmer Dave.
Yeah, I would just say while the comparison between Todd and Rick's team was a pretty stark one this week, a loss is still a loss, and both teams put an L up this week, and at the end of the season, that's all that really matters. Furthermore, Rick's team could have won this week had he not benched Sam Howell, and he still put up a big old L this week. So I think Todd actually kind of won with what he was dealt with.
Thanks, Dave.
Absolutely. For those at home, Farmer Dave is raising his hand to speak on a podcast. Dave, you could just speak. This is all audio. Anyway, Todd, you have some trivia for us this week?
Yeah, let's dive in. All right, Ryan, Dave, you guys are on the clock. I'm going to give you one simple question.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. What NFL team has scored less than 20 points per game in each of their first 8 games this season?
Panthers.
No.
No. Oh, I thought that was a great pick.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, Dave. I'm going to fill some space while Ryan thinks.
Oh, Steelers?
It is not the Steelers. One key part of that question was their first 8 games. So it's a team that's played every game so far this season.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we both have one wrong guess. Do you have another one, Dave?
Could it be the Giants?
It's not the Giants. They did have Tyrod playing for a few weeks, so a couple weeks of good offense.
I thought that was a really good guess.
Last guess for you, Ryan?
Is it the Jets?
It is not the Jets either. All right, fellas. It is none other than the Raiders. And the reason that this is interesting is that this is the first time since 2009 that a team hasn't scored more than 20 points in their first 8 games. We're talking trash Lions, trash Browns, the trashiest of the trash. And Jimmy G can't throw for more and get more points than 20 points, or Aiden O'Connell, or whoever else they're trying to start. And it is written all over Devontae's face. I feel so bad for him. And then I remember he left the Packers for no reason. So screw you, Devontae.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what he would be doing on my fantasy team if they were scoring any amount of points. I mean, that would be amazing. He's still been a good pickup for me, but I mean, he could be even better. Okay, great trivia as always, Todd. Thanks for that. Any quick hit stats for us?
I've got one, and our fearless commissioner has a couple quick hit stats and miscellaneous notes that he would like to share for us. Nixon, what do you have to say? Thanks so much,
The
Nixon.
luck pantheon remains unchanged as I still reign supreme now with nearly 2 wins above expectation, followed closely by minor deity Doug. Down in hell, Adler suffers for eternity, still setting records for unluckiest, while Mims is gaining on him and becoming a historical outlier in his own right. As Doug pointed out, the craziest thing is perhaps that Adler should be winning the league right now, while none of the 6-2 teams should even be above 4th. Jimmy's drafted players continue to be the best group, even though they're largely doing it for Adler. Meanwhile, Forrest and Mims keep jockeying for 2nd place. Rick is creating his own tier with a combination of injuries and disappointments, leading to a league low in drafted points. It's interesting to highlight that well above him, but well below the field, are Mike Simpson and Todd, whose drafted players have done similarly poorly on the year. It was a tough week for coaching, as Mims played Miles Sanders over literally anyone, and therefore left a bunch of points on his bench. He passes Mike Simpson to lead that dubious category on the entire year. It's also worth noting that league leader Ryan has hardly any points left on the bench this season, en route to a 6-2 record. And I can just reuse this audio clip every week. Adler is keeping it tight. As an additional fun fact this week, Week 8 saw the league's highest ever median score and 3rd highest ever total scoring. This makes it one of the highest scoring weeks of all time, no matter how you look at it. Although check out Week 2 of 2020 for an even bigger week. Shout out to Jimmy for some research help on this one.
Thanks so much, Nixon. Salient as always. Love to have you on the pod. You're a wordsmith and a scholar. My only note that I wanted to express this week was Adler. As I noted last week, his team is a juggernaut. As expected, he crushed it this past week. He had 140-some points, huge week by itself. But not only did he lead the week in points, but he also led the week in bench points. He could have had another 28.4 more points if he started his optimal lineup. Just bananas. I am just so pissed that I'm playing him this week. I am just furious that my luck has just soured over the last 3 weeks, and it's not looking good for me, Ryan.
Yeah, I agree with you, Todd. I'm not going to get too much into it. We're going to talk about that a little later in the pod. But yeah, Adler's been killing it the last 2 weeks. Matchup rundown review. We're doing this pod on a Tuesday, so we can't recap any waiver moves that have happened this week, although I believe there will be a couple interesting ones. I've seen a few teams that need QBs because of buys, a few teams that need defenses, and a number of teams that need tight ends randomly. So, I'm sure there will definitely be some interesting waiver pickups this week. Anything you want to mention, Todd? Any trades that happened and anything like that?
Ryan, I'm not quite as prepared. I don't remember if there were any trades. It's a short week for us. Tuesdays are always a tough pod. If there were trades, sorry, league, we'll talk about them next go around. There's always another podcast. Despite some early doubters out there, there's always another podcast. So I think we can just recap our predictions from the past week. How'd you do?
Yeah, I went 4-3 last week. Not great. I am now 22-13 for the season. How about yourself?
Hey, that's a winning record for the season, Ryan. And, I did the same. I went 4-3. I missed on Neil, Rick, and Jimmy, so I'm mad at them. But that puts me at 36-20 for the season. And, Farmer Dave wouldn't be Farmer Dave without his lifelong compadre, Emily, who is now Emily Evans. Emily, do you have anything you want to share for the pod right now?
I'm caught unprepared, so I'm sorry.
It's all right, Emily. We'll continue on, but if you think of anything, you can stop us at any time.
What can I say? I've got a face for movies, not for radio.
There you go. And, thanks for letting us be on your porch right now smoking cigars. I know how much you hate that smell, so it's just a true testament to your love and your devotion for Farmer Dave. and let's dive in on our predictions.
I'm sorry, Todd. If I may ask one thing of Emily, glad she's making an off-camera appearance on the pod. As the biggest Canes fan I know, Emily, how's the team looking so far this season?
Ooh, so far this season, we've got back a key player. We've got Svechin Tervo back. Oh, shit. I'm sorry. My dog just drank all of my very high ABV beer. I will be right back. I'm going to defer to the second largest Caniac I know, David Evans. He's going to take over for now while I check on my drunk dog.
Oh, my God.
We have a booze hound amongst us, so
Yeah.
unfortunately, it was a small shot glass of beer.
Wow. Okay. And Dave has returned with some sort of orange glasses in the festive mood, I see. I didn't really care about the Canes. I just wanted to say hi to Emily. So we can move on. Dave looking at me very creepily. And he just blinked. Okay. He is alive. All right, guys. Matchup rundown. Let's start out with the only matchup between teams with winning records.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is going to be me versus Neil. My team, like I mentioned a little earlier in the pod, was dealt a really tough blow last week against Todd. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, and now he is out for the season. So I am in the market for a QB. I've had some Buffalo Boys owners reach out, offer some trades concerning a QB. I appreciate all that.
Were they good? Were they reasonable? Do you want to call anyone out, Ryan?
I will say that one of them came from Mike Simpson. So I will let you determine whether that was a reasonable offer. He's not going to like that I said that. I'm just kidding, Mike. But no, we couldn't come to an agreement, and I won't out anybody else. But who knows? It's early in the week. Maybe something will happen. Anyway, with Kirk out and with CMC on bye, it's looking really bad for me, Todd. I think I have to pick Railroad Randy here, sadly. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm taking the L this week?
I'm on the same page as you, Ryan. I didn't write a lot of notes on this because I genuinely think it ties to CMC. This is your bye week. This is your week that you can't overcome. No CMC, no QB. Neil had a bad week last week. I think his team's going to be primed to rebound, and he's got you this week.
Yeah, I think you're right. There are two more 6-2 teams out there right now. Doug is one of them. He is taking on 4-4 Hoyle this week. Who do you like in this matchup, Todd?
Well, I'm just pissed right now. I am pissed at Doug's luck. Doug, I'm not happy with you. Well, I'm not happy with Lady Luck, to say. Hopefully, everything turns around. You've gotten you start off the season well. You drafted well, as you normally do, and you scored well. But once your team went into dire straits, somehow you pulled out 2 miraculous wins the past week. And maybe that's coaching, so bravo on you. So far, though, you have dominated Hoyle, Doug. You have won 7 out of the 10 matchups with Hoyle, so you clearly have his number. And I don't think that's going to continue, though. I think your luck's going to run out. And my bold prediction is that Mike Hoyle will win by 20-plus points this week.
Wow, 20-plus points. Are you putting money on that, Todd?
I'll put money on a spread. I don't have a number yet. I'll think on it the rest of the next 2 days and get back to the league. I'll post it on the YouTube chat because, we get a lot of feedback in YouTube, people wanting to get in on the bets. I just recommend everyone to post their comments early so that they don't get missed. A couple of people missed out on my bad weekly wager last week, and they could have won money, and that's on you. So just, listen early, bet early, win early.
You heard it here, Buffalo Boys listeners. Todd, we are in agreement here. I like Hoyle for the upset. I think Kamara could have a really big day against the Bears, and I think Jonathan Taylor could have a big day against the Panthers. We'll just have to see, but I do like Hoyle in this matchup. The last 6-2 team is Commissioner Nixon. He is taking on Farmer Dave, our third guest of the day. Dave is 3-5. Both teams need a defense. Unless Nixon's defense gets negative points, I think he will sneak out the victory here. Dave, you were shaking your head. Tell me why I'm wrong.
My team has been on a bit of a tear after taking on both of the Buffalo Bros, hosts, and taking home 2 W's. Unfortunately, I met that buzzsaw that is Mr. Adler this week and lost in a very unlucky matchup, despite posting the second highest point total this week. But I think my team will continue to perform despite the lack of a defense and take another win this week.
Dave, I'm curious because a lot of that success is contingent on a rookie QB. What are your thoughts on how Will Levis played last week?
Dave is just shaking his head. So no comment, I guess. Okay. Let's go to your matchup next year, Todd. You are 4-4, and you're taking on Adler, as we mentioned before. Adler is 3-5, but off of a very hot streak recently. His last 2 games, you mentioned, I believe he's had over 120 points. Todd, how do you think you're going to do in this one?
Thanks, Ryan. As I alluded to earlier, I am not excited about this matchup at all. Adler is hot right now. He's got probably the best or second best team. I love his team. I love Hoyle's team.
That Adler's so hot right now.
As Emily said, Adler is hot right now. And she was just looking at his Instagram, so that was a little bit of a weird comment to make. But, congrats, Adler. You've got the market on your side. But in terms of our matchup here, quite annoyed that I had to play Adler this week instead of earlier in the season. Would have loved to play when he was just trash. Unfortunately, we aren't. But one good thing for me this week is I think he doesn't have a lot of great matchups this week. So it might be just some middle tier performances for most of his guys. So I think that could be in my favor. Maybe after 2 duds of a week for my team, we're feeling a little bit more touchdowny. We're a little excited to get a couple more touchdowns. But I still got, despite Adler having a 9-8 overall record against me, I think that's going to continue. I think he's going to end up 10-8 against me this week.
You're a realist, Todd, and I appreciate that. I'm also taking Adler in this one. Another 4-4 versus 3-5 matchup this week is Forrest versus Mims. This is my game of the week. Neither team is impeded by buys, which is pretty rare this week. I think almost every team is impeded by at least one buy. So they've got their full matchup, their full lineup out there. And I think this could be a high-scoring affair. If I were to pick somebody, I think I'm going to pick the underdog here. I think I'm going to go with Mims.
It's a good pick, Ryan. One thing I want to highlight is Mims, you didn't listen to this podcast last week, and maybe if you did, you would have won because I ridiculed you for having Miles Sanders in your starting lineup. I'm going to continue to ridicule you because you really should have listened to us. But, you've woken up to your senses. You've benched Sanders this week. I think he only had 2 rushes last week, if I'm not mistaken, which is just ridiculous that you're losing carries to Chuba Hubbard, of all people. Chuba's, he's been looking good, but in terms of this matchup, Ryan, I think despite all that, I think luck is going to finally swing back to Mims' side. He's had a lot of bad luck so far this season. He's up there in wins. He's up there in optimal points. He's just not up there in the coaching metrics. And, I'm betting on a return to favor there. It might not be the Vegas odds on favorite bet, but I'm going to go with Mims this week.
Yeah, and for you stat nerds out there, Miles Sanders, two 2 attempts, 0 yards, 2 carries, 0 yards last week. So that's a real beat.
I think both of us could do better than that, Ryan.
Oh, almost certainly. I would. Yeah, I could do the Philly special. What do they call it? The butt.
The tush push.
Push. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I could get 1.5 yards easy.
Would you bet $1,000 that you could get 1 yard on any given NFL play?
I mean, what is the play? Is the play just a drive up the middle, or can I like pick my run?
You can pick your run.
Okay, I'm a big fan of the toss out, like tossing, going either side long, or like faking it to a wide receiver who's coming around the back. I think you can definitely I could definitely get a yard off of that. If I was,
so you're saying you have enough speed to outpace our D1 athlete Doug, and to be able to run to the flat in a zone carry scheme and be able to get 1 yard.
I mean, which Doug are we talking about? Are we talking about 2023 Doug, or are we talking about Doug walking on freshman year at GT? Because those are 2 different Dougs.
We'll let Doug advise on that.
Okay, yeah. I think we're getting into weird territory, and I'm just going to stop right there. But we can continue this discussion maybe in the group me. Stay tuned. Our last 4-4 matchup, 4-4 team rather, is Jimmy. He is taking on last place AJ, who is 2-6. Not looking good right now. Jimmy is looking rough this week with his defense and his flex player on bye. While AJ doesn't have a QB right now or a tight end, I think he's actually going to figure it out, Todd, and I think he is going to pull out the victory. What do you think?
It's a bold take, Ryan, and I'm actually on the opposite side here. You know, like you said, bye weeks on both sides impacting both teams, so there's a lot of projection that goes into this prediction here, and you know, we don't know what they're going to do, and maybe they pull a Doug and just decide not to play the waivers. We'll see. But in terms of this matchup, I think Olave and Carr, they're going to figure it out. They're going to start to mesh, and I just have a feeling that Olave has a big week, and given Jimmy's history with AJ, Jimmy has won 13 out of 18 matchups against AJ. I think that's going to continue this week.
And last, and perhaps least, it is the battle of the 3-5 teams, Rick versus Mike Simpson. Todd, take us home. Who do you like in this one?
Going to keep this one simple, Ryan. What else is there to say except that Mike is getting fueled up? He had a bit of a dud. You know, every NASA launch has a couple cancellations, couple postponements, and I think that was last week for Mike. But I think the fuel is there. I think the potential is there, and I think he's going to start to take off this week.
I think we're going to call him Scrub Launch.
I don't know what that means, Farmer Dave. Sorry about that.
If only Colin was still in the league.
If only. Another topic we can
he's
discuss
not.
in the group me this week. Send in your thoughts, folks. I'm sure there are a lot of them. I'm a little confused by your take, Todd, because Mike did have 126 points last week. Seems pretty fueled up. And I'm actually going to take Rick in this one. Maybe that's a hot take, but I love his foursome of Waddle, Mostert, Brown, and Myers. I mean, I think all of those guys could have big weeks, and I think that's going to propel Rick. So I'm taking the big guy. Finally, a weekly wager. I know we teased a potential weekly wager earlier in the show. Do you have any others, Dave, Todd, that you want to throw out there?
I'm going to put $5 on Hoyle winning this week.
Straight up.
Straight up.
On Hoyle. Okay. Against the 6-2 Doug. So you're going for the upside. Okay.
But I do want to give Farmer Dave one more chance for his ad. I think he's been working with a couple interns on his side. He's been working to craft a new message. He has some ideas that he wants to share. So I'm going to give him the mic real quick to share one more ad for us.
Unfortunately, I read the teleprompter much like Ron Burgundy and Anchorman. So we have a revised address for Farmer Dave's. If you'd like, you can reach out in the group me for some homegrown heirloom seeds. We're happy to provide a mix of either wildflowers or fruits and vegetables. Feel your fantasy off-season with a bountiful harvest from Farmer Dave's.
Now that is a professional ad read. Thank you, Farmer Dave. Great having you on the show. What a treat, Todd. Back-to-back weeks we have, or almost back-to-back weeks. My weeks are running together. But yeah, to have both of our sponsors on the pod, I mean, what a treat. And you're traveling with the podcast. Maybe you'll stop by in Atlanta. I think Atlanta is between Miami and Raleigh last time I checked. So maybe we'll have another opportunity to do a live podcast. But another great pod, boys. Anything you would like to say to the people before we go?
The last thing I want to say for all of our faithful listeners, all the people that have smashed that bell, that have liked the pod, that are following on YouTube, we're going to do a mailbag next week. It's going to come out a little bit later because our great commissioner is having his bachelor party next week. And we're going to have a very, very special episode of the pod. It might be long, but it's what everyone has been asking for. We're going to have lots of people, lots of takes, lots of dumb takes probably, but lots of takes nonetheless, which is all that we could ask for here. And next week, we're going to read all of your questions. We've been getting a lot in. We have a whole lineup here, so don't miss out. We're excited. And yeah, what do you think about that, Ryan?
Can't wait, Todd. Can't wait for the mailbag. Can't wait for the potential of a live podcast, live from Nixon's bachelor party. No promises, but that could be a lot of fun. Farmer Dave, anything you would like to tell the people at home before we go?
I would like to add one more ad to this show. Speaking of bachelor parties, I would like to say that we do have a new sponsor to the podcast. It is Devon, aka HBIC Bachelorette Planning Services, available for all of your bachelorette planning needs, from Scottsdale to Seattle to Charlottesville to Wrightsville Beach to DC to all bachelorettes in between. Anything that you might need: margarita machine, lounging by the pool, Alka-Seltzer, tampons, anything you might need for your bachelorettes. We have not yet done bachelor parties, but we are in the market looking to expand. So anything that you might need, please reach out to Devon. She is not part of this league. However, she might still be beating you all.
Okay, Todd. I don't know what that was, but I haven't received any payment from this magical new sponsor, so I guess we're just going to cut that one out. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah.
The wire is currently in transit. Let me tell you, Ryan, it was a sizable donation. We could not resist that ad. I think it's just a testament to the success of the pod so far that, more and more sponsors are clamoring to get in on the pod. They've seen the early returns. Farmer Dave sold out before the season even ended. Mattress Black is, he's dry, and that's a good thing. And, a couple of things I just want to remind our faithful listeners of is thanks for listening to the pod. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for contributing. We're so thankful for all of your support. And, don't forget, don't start your Thursday players in your flex. Don't start the bad players. Start the good ones. And don't get buffaloed.